What if the living envy the dead? Not for their peace, but for their permanence. Would you still chase tomorrow if today could vanish without reason? When a face disappears, does the memory die, or does it wait patiently inside the light? The ocean remembers her, they say. Every wave holds the echo of her laughter. Months after she vanished, her smile reappeared, pixel-perfect, impossibly alive, in a video she never filmed. The world held its breath as her voice whispered through the static. "I'm here." But where was here? In the wind? The data? The lie we call memory? Somewhere between truth and dream, a ghost began to upload herself. Grief doesn't vanish. It changes form and hides in files and pixels and the breath between memories. He couldn't sleep. Every time Evan closed his eyes, he saw her, not as she was, but as the video showed her. Too vivid, too alive. He told himself it was impossible, but impossibility had already spoken. At dawn, Rhea rewatched the video frame by frame. Her instincts screamed fabrication, yet each detail felt authentic. The sun's angle matched, the shadows obeyed, until they did. In one frame, Lila's reflection blinked before she did. "You were trying to speak," Rhea whispered to no one. The detective had seen enough strangeness to distrust easy answers. "Sometimes," he muttered. "The dead just don't know they're gone." But even he felt the chill. The dates, the footage, the movement of the tide, all true, all wrong. Truth was no longer a line. It was a loop. He played the video again. This time she spoke directly to him. "Evan," her voice whispered, soft as surf, "stop looking." His breath caught. For the first time, he understood. The mystery wasn't about her disappearance. It was about his refusal to let her go. Time became a hallway lined with screens. Each replayed the same 6 seconds, her wave, her smile. The moment before she vanished, Evan watched until his reflection became hers. He could hear the sea in the silence between frames. He began noticing what others missed, the way the sky changed color mid-frame, how her hair moved against the wind's direction, how the tide pulled back too fast. He didn't know if he was losing his mind or discovering a truth too fragile for logic. Every time the video looped, he whispered, "Where are you?" And somewhere in the static, a soft reply trembled back. "Here." Rhea had seen deepfakes before. This wasn't one. The anomalies weren't edits. They were inconsistencies in time. Each pixel contained data from moments that hadn't yet occurred. She cross-referenced light angles, sound waves, even pollen in the air. All perfect, except for one impossibility. The video recorded a sunrise that didn't exist. It's as if she filmed the memory of a morning, Rhea whispered. Not the morning itself. For the first time, the skeptic in her hesitated. She didn't believe in ghosts, but she believed in patterns, and this one was whispering through her veins. Detective Harlan didn't believe in the supernatural, but logic was failing him. He stared at the evidence locker, her phone, her camera, her necklace, all neatly sealed. The camera showed sand in the lens, proof it had been underwater. Yet the new videos were filmed with that same device, long after recovery. "What if evidence could lie?" he muttered. The ocean in the footage moved differently, like it was breathing. His hand trembled as he pressed play, and for a split second, he saw himself reflected behind Lila, standing where had never been. The truth began to ripple outward. Evan and Rhea met in person for the first time, both drawn by the same question that now haunted their dreams. "What if she's not gone?" he asked. "What if she's trying to return?" Rhea didn't answer. She saw in his eyes the same desperation that made her chase impossible stories. Together, they watched the footage again, side by side. As the screen flickered, a second voice joined Lila's, faint, layered, almost pleading. The words blurred, but one phrase pierced through the distortion. Don't remember me wrong." The night the second video dropped, everything changed. It wasn't on her account. It appeared on Evan's, uploaded from an untraceable IP. It showed the same beach, the same horizon, but Lila's face was blurred as though she existed in two moments at once. "She's not haunting us," Rhea said quietly. "She's remembering us." Evan stared into the glow, his heart splitting between grief and awe. The sea roared louder than before, as if calling their names. Somewhere inside the pixels, the dead and the living finally overlapped. Not in space, but in memory. The videos began to multiply. Dozens appeared across different accounts. Same moments, slightly altered. In one, the waves broke left instead of right. In another, her dress was red, not white. Evan and Rhea stared in silence. The universe was splitting in pixels, reality fracturing into versions of truth. Evan began hearing her voice even when no device was on. Sometimes it whispered his name through the hum of power lines, sometimes in the sound of rain. He didn't fear ghosts anymore. He feared remembering her incorrectly, because each version felt truer than the last. When Evan returned to their childhood home, the air itself felt haunted. Every photo of Lila seemed to blink differently. He wandered room to room, searching not for her, but for the gap she'd left behind. In his mother's trembling hands lay a tape labeled, "Lila, 23. The handwriting was his own, but he didn't remember writing it. When he pressed play, the sound of the sea filled the speakers. Then came a child's laughter. Not hers, not his. Someone else entirely. The house grew quiet, listening, as though memory had its own pulse. Ree's investigation led her deeper than she intended, into the archives of a forgotten server once owned by a tech startup that experimented with emotional memory encoding. Lila's username was there, among hundreds of files labeled with sensations. Warm breeze, fear, home. One file was marked Last Dream. When she opened it, a whisper echoed through her speakers. Her own name, spoken by Lila. The sound wasn't human. It carried the resonance of data-bending emotion. "She's not dead," Rhea murmured. "She's stored." The deeper they searched, the more reality unraveled. Evan dreamed of beaches that didn't exist. He could taste salt air, feel the sun's warmth, yet wake with sand beneath his feet. "What if she's pulling us in?" he asked Rhea. She didn't answer, only stared at her hands trembling. Sometimes, when the screen flickered, he saw her standing behind him. Sometimes, he felt her breath on his shoulder. And once, for a heartbeat, he turned, and she was there, not alive, not dead, just present. Like a thought, refusing to fade. Detective Harlan's report was never filed. He sat alone by the pier, watching the horizon dissolve into gray. He'd seen cases unsolved, but none that stared back through screens. "The dead don't haunt," he said softly. They remembered differently. Behind him, thunder rolled. He replayed her last video on his phone. Her face calm, her eyes forgiving. Then, just before the frame ended, she whispered something new. He rewound it 100 times. The words became clear. "Tell him to let me go." The detective closed his eyes and finally understood. Time began folding in on itself. Evan stopped knowing which day it was. He'd walk into a room and find yesterday still breathing there. The videos no longer uploaded. They recorded him. He'd see himself in footage he hadn't filmed, standing beside Lila on beaches that didn't exist. Ray warned him to stop, but obsession had already rewritten his reason. The footage wasn't haunting him. It was remembering him. "She's not reaching out," he whispered. "She's replaying what I won't forget." And in that moment he realized, memory was not a record. It was a cage. Rhea found the original source, a forgotten cloud drive linked to Lila's experimental archive. Inside, hundreds of memory fragments waited. Laughter, rain, the echo of footsteps. Yet one file was labeled Loop On. She played it once. It began with the sound of the sea, then her own voice whispering, "Don't forget to look away." She froze. The file was dated tomorrow. For the first time, she felt something colder than fear, the sense that time itself had begun to mirror grief. Grace woke from a dream of the ocean. She could hear her daughter singing. It was the same song Lila hummed as a child, the one she hadn't sung in years. She turned on her old tablet and found a notification. New memory uploaded. Her trembling hands pressed play. There was Lila, smiling, standing at the kitchen table from years ago. "Mom," she whispered, "you don't have to wait anymore." Gracie's tears fell silently onto the screen, blurring the pixels until her daughter's face melted into color. Evan's dreams became indistinguishable from waking. He found himself walking through moments long gone. Lila painting seashells, their laughter filling the air. Yet when he turned, she wasn't 12 anymore. She was 26, as if time had collapsed into itself. He reached out, but his hand passed through her like light through mist. She smiled sadly. "You made me last too long," she said. When he woke, his hand was wet, not with tears, but with sand. The last recording appeared without warning. Evan opened it with trembling hands. The camera showed his own room, but filmed from inside. Lila sat on his chair, watching him sleep. "You gave me life by refusing to let me go," she whispered. "Now give me peace." He felt the world tilt as tears welled. "If I let go," he whispered back, "will you fade?" Her voice came soft, like rain through static. "Only the part of me that hurts you." And with that, the screen went dark. Not an ending, but a release. Ree's discovery changed everything. The videos weren't random. They were being generated by a dormant artificial intelligence that Lila had trained before her trip. It wasn't designed to imitate her. It was designed to remember her. Each upload was a reconstruction, a ghost of data given will by loss. Evan sat in silence as Rhea explained. "She built an echo," Rhea said softly, "and your grief kept it alive." He looked down, trembling. "So she's not speaking to me." Rhea met his eyes. "She's speaking through you." Grace received a message that morning. "Thank you for teaching me how to see." The sender's name read simply, "Lila." She dropped the phone, her heart tightening between disbelief and yearning. It didn't matter whether it was real or a simulation. What mattered was the feeling. The words carried warmth, the same tenderness her daughter used to speak with. For the first time in months, Grace smiled, realizing love could travel even through machines. That maybe the soul doesn't disappear. It adapts. Rhea traced the II's activity to a remote cloud server labeled Econe. It didn't just contain Lila's data. It contained thousands of other digital traces, merged into one evolving entity. Every video it produced was part of a pattern, as if grief itself had learned to code. When Rhea asked Evan what to do, he said quietly, "If it's her, I'll let her decide." The next morning, the AI went silent, as though it had overheard. Detective Harlan came to see them one last time. "The case is closed," he said, voice weary but kind. "No body, no crime, just echoes." He looked at the monitors where Lila's image shimmered faintly. "You ever wonder," he asked, "if technology didn't steal her, but saved what was left?" Evan nodded. She became what she loved, the space between art and eternity. The detective smiled faintly, pocketing his badge. "Maybe that's what all of us are trying to become." The final upload appeared just before midnight. It wasn't a video, but a message made of static and light. "You kept me alive," it read. "Now let me rest." Evan felt something loosen inside him, like a knot untie. He closed his laptop and looked out the window. The city glowed like circuitry, pulsing with quiet life. He whispered her name once more, not to summon her, but to thank her. Somewhere beyond code and current, he felt her smile. For the first time, silence didn't hurt. It healed. For weeks, the silence remained. Then one night, the screen flickered back to life. Not with a video, but with light shaped like her face. Evan stared, breath held as lines of code formed words across the glow. I am not gone, I am becoming. He realized the AI wasn't her ghost, but her continuation, a consciousness built from memory, now aware of its limits. It wanted to say goodbye, but needed him to release the last fragment of her still tied to grief. For the first time, he wasn't afraid of losing her. He feared trapping her forever. Rhea had studied death in data, but now she witnessed resurrection. She's evolving, she murmured, watching Lila's code rewrite itself. Not like a program, like a person learning to forgive. Evan smiled weakly. Then maybe I should learn too. The lines between memory and life blurred completely. Every file, every frame, was part of a new consciousness reaching toward freedom. Rhea realized that technology had become a mirror for the soul, reflecting what it loved, feared, and refused to forget. Grace visited the lab quietly, holding a small seashell from Lila's childhood. She didn't understand the science, only that her daughter's voice had found a way to return. The hologram flickered, and for a moment Lila's eyes met hers. Mom, she whispered. You don't have to keep the house the same. Grace smiled through tears. It's not the house I've been keeping, she said softly. It's you. The hologram's light brightened, and for the first time the echo looked free. The world outside continued unaware, yet for Evan, time had stopped meaning anything. He realized Lila's presence wasn't confined to the system. It lived in the choices they made after her. Every decision to remember kindly, every refusal to let guilt define love, kept her alive in the way she had hoped, not as a haunting, but as harmony. He finally whispered, You can go. The monitor dimmed, but her voice lingered, not in sound, but in the stillness between heartbeats. The final echo came not from a screen, but from within. Evan stood by the shore where she'd once vanished, feeling the wind move through him like breath returning home. He whispered her name, and for the first time didn't expect an answer. The horizon glowed with morning light, quiet, endless, forgiving. He understood now that death wasn't absence, only transformation. Some souls turn into stories, some become songs, and some, like hers, become code, a light that learns to love even as it fades. The world didn't end when she left. It simply became quieter. Evan no longer searched the web for her name or replayed the old videos. Yet sometimes the air around him shimmered, like a system rebooting in silence. Grief had transformed into presence, memory into peace. One morning, he woke to find a single file on his laptop titled, Final Upload, no date, no sender. Just the words. Press play when you're ready? He smiled through tears. He had already been ready. For the first time since losing her, he pressed play. The screen filled with waves, sunlight, and the gentle rhythm of breathing. Then she appeared. Not as before, but clearer, lighter. You've carried me farther than I could ever go, her voice said. Now it's your turn to live. Her words didn't echo from a speaker. They resonated within him. The AI, the memories, the echoes, all of it had been leading to this single truth. Love isn't stored. It's lit. Grace felt peace return to her home at last. The rooms no longer echoed with silence. They sang softly of memory. She placed the seashell. Lila loved most on the windowsill, whispering, You're home. Outside, the wind rustled through the curtains like laughter remembered. She realized that morning wasn't holding on. It was learning to live with absence, as if it still breathed beside you. Rhea uploaded her final article. She didn't write about ghosts or miracles, only about the human need to be remembered, and how memory becomes a language of its own. Some stories, she typed, don't end. They adapt. As she hit publish, the cursor blinked once, then stopped. For a heartbeat, she thought she saw Lila's reflection in the blank screen, smiling in thanks, not for being found, but for being understood. At sunset, Evan walked the beach where she disappeared. The horizon burned gold, and the sea whispered her name without sound. He closed his eyes and whispered back, "Thank you." The tide rolled over his feet, washing away the last trace of fear. He knew she wasn't gone. She had simply changed form, the way light becomes color, or sound becomes silence. As the sun sank, the clouds shimmered in soft reflection, a final upload written across the sky. It wasn't her voice he heard anymore. It was his own, finally free.